Okay, so welcome everybody to the Codeworks thesis project presentations. Tonight we're joined by our students from all over the world. So we've got our Barcelona campus, we've got our Berlin campus, we've got our London campus, we've got our remote students in Europe, we've got our remote students in North and South America. All of our senior students have been working on what's called their thesis project. This is the final piece of work they're going to do before they graduate from Codeworks, and they have been tasked with building a full stack app from scratch in 2 weeks. So we're going to be watching 7 different projects that they produced. They're all super, super good. And we do say this every time, but it seems to be true every time that the quality of the projects does just get better and better. And actually, the videos this time are like really very funny as well, which I love. They're very, very entertaining. So great work across the board. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch a video, and then we're going to open up the floor to questions from students and instructors for that group about how they built the app, how they worked as a team to make it all come together in 2 weeks. And we'll follow that order. So let us get started. The first app that you're going to see today is an app called Zims, which is from our remote EST students. So here we go. Let me know if you can all, if there's any problem with the audio. It should be fine.
Welcome to Zims. Zims is a play-to-earn gaming platform allowing users to play games and earn points, which can then be used to mint NFTs. All information related to startup and how the app works can be found within this landing page. Now let's get logged in and authenticated with our crypto wallets. Users will then be directed to our top users page.
To edit your information, go to the Edit Profile to change username, email, and profile photo. Once you've chosen your favorite banana photo, click on the Zims logo on the upper left corner to return to the home page. There are 2 ways to earn points in Zims: the daily action buttons and playing games. Click on My Profile in the nav bar to access your daily action buttons. In My Profile, you can see the NFTs you own, your point summary, and the daily actions buttons. You can earn points daily by clicking the different action buttons, which all have different point values and different time increments. For example, by clicking the work button, you get 500 points, and you can only click once every 24 hours, as you can see in the countdown within each button.
A good way to earn points on Zims is also by playing games. Users can start with Hangman, where they have to guess which word Zims has thought of. Or they can also try Flappy Bird. Make sure not to hit the pipes. The next one is Break Breaker. Break all the breaks and move on to the next level to earn more points. And the all-time classic, Tetris.
On the sidebar, if you click Mint NFT button, you're going to be redirected to the Mint NFT page where you can see all the NFTs available for minting once you have enough points to do so. Once you click Mint, you're going to be redirected to the MetaMask wallet where you're going to be asked to sign the contract and confirm the transaction. Once the transaction is confirmed, an alert is going to pop up on the page with the transaction hash, and you can always check the transaction on your MetaMask wallet. So back on the profile page, there you can see all the NFTs that you own, included the one you just minted.
Coming soon to Zims is our marketplace, where users will be able to buy, sell, and trade NFTs. Our tech stack was comprised of React on the front end, Morales on the back end, MetaMask for authentication, Ganache for our blockchain, Chakra UI for design, and Redux for state management.
Yay! That is beautiful. Where's the remote EST group?
Right here.
Oh, there you go. I see Joao and Emily. I don't see Emily yet, but I'm also blind.
Okay. We all have
Okay,
our
there you
backgrounds.
Oh, matching backgrounds. I like that. That's a great thing.
Man. And we're missing one more. Oh, okay, there's Pedro. Perfect. Now we have 4. Nice, guys. This is Emily. You have like a professional narrating voice.
We all said.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So I think Javier is still out, but we have Toby and Jess as backup. Toby and Jess, do you guys have some questions for our group?
Yes, 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 absolutely. First of all, I just wanted to say that was insane. Very, very well done. That was so professional looking. And the games as well. How you managed to implement all of those games in 2 weeks, I don't know. So like, well done. I wanted to know a little bit about how you found using MetaMask. I know the guys here in London use Firebase for their authentication, and I was just wondering whether you found MetaMask easy to use or what your process using it was.
Yeah, it was extremely easy actually. So with the Morales, our backend cloud server, it has a way to like enable MetaMask authentication. So you can honestly write the authentication in 2 lines of code. Similarly, you can do with email or password with Morales, but I think we were just going with the whole crypto wallet and trying to get in like into that whole space. So we chose to do MetaMask. So it was pretty easy. 2 lines of code. We were done with the authentication.
It was so quick, yeah.
2 lines of code is something I can get on board with. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Rest
it's
of our-
a framework called Morales. I think they launched it on June, like publicly, so it's pretty new. But like they call themselves like Firebase for Web3 or crypto, so it's pretty straightforward and easy to use.
Nice.
Yeah,
And
their
who
docs
came
are
up
very
with the?
helpful.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying that docs are very helpful. They have like good documentation and videos for each thing on their documentation, so it's very helpful to use. Yeah.
I was going to ask as well, because having good docs is like makes your life a million times easier. So no, that's good to know. Thank you.
Nice. And whose idea was it? Who's the
Um,
gamer? Who's the
this
gamer
kinda-
in the group?
It kind of came together kind of organically, the idea. I think like we knew we were going to go for the decentralized app thing, but we started brainstorming and kind of doing our getting all the ideas out there, and then it kind of slowly started evolving. Like the different ideas started to come together, and then it was like, okay, cool, let's go. We got something to work forward with. But I guess we all have a little bit of a gaming kind of like in the background, so we all kind of have a little bit of a gamer style, so it's kind of nice to have some fun together, because it's a fun project to be working on, because the idea is like fun like that. So we talked about it. It was nice because everybody was able to like share ideas and put something together, and then once we kind of had a little bit of a better sense for direction, I kind of just picked up Excalibur and did a nice wireframe to get a beginning starting point for us to start moving forward, and then we're off the races from there.
Man, I love it. The 90s are coming back. So I am a fan, 100%. And then I think also we have Costas with a question. Pretty please.
I want to ask you if you did any work on the any smart contract, any thing that had to do with, I don't know, Solidity. What did you do on the smart contract side of the project?
Yes, we did smart contract Solidity. Yes. We had the Solidity, we had to write the contract in the background. So they also have templates, something called Open Zeppelin, which helps you to kind of give you some of the what you got to write in there. So we're kind of just learning and putting those kind of pieces together. We also ended up reaching out on the Discord to talk with the community, which was really cool. Pedro actually posted some of the stuff there, and we got a response back from one of the people on there at Disco. Was it Crypto Kid? So we kind of were able to piece it together, and that was a really interesting experience for all of us, because we were doing a lot of different things. Like the decentralized thing is totally new for all of us. So there's a lot of learning. We had to do the Solidity. There's also something we called Truffle that we also used there too. So there was a lot of different new technologies, but yeah, we had to do the contract to make it to write, and that's why it actually works with the MetaMask. It's actually on the blockchain, but you need the ganache, because if you don't use ganache, like you're going to pay a lot of money in gas fees to try to actually use a blockchain. So thankfully, like these tools are already available to us now, so we were able to actually use them and actually do a test project without having to pay like hundreds of dollars in whatever we have to upload, right?
Nice. And then maybe Joao or Ayan, can you guys give us maybe an insight for the juniors that they can take away and apply to their project? Oh no, I think they're frozen. Then anyone, to anyone.
I think
I
for
think go ahead, Richard.
no, it's okay, Emily.
I was just going to say, I think our team did a good job of communicating with each other and like regularly. So that was kind of a key component. And then whatever Richard wants to add.
I think like we also had kind of a natural harmony, I think, to our group too. So it kind of made it a lot easier for us to move quickly on decision making too, because it wasn't a lot of like, hey, oh, we didn't do a lot of like hurdles to stop. It was just like constantly pushing forward with the next idea, and just everybody just coming to the table with another piece that just added to the puzzle, and just what you see right now. So it was kind of a natural harmony too, which was kind of really, really nice to have.
Nice. And Joao and Ayan, you guys are back. So when
Yeah.
you decide.
Pardon? Oh, sorry, we missed like a bit. Like
Wait, before I'll ask you guys again. We have a question really fast from Alex, and then I'll ask you guys again. You have some time to think.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So real quick, I've seen you guys have re-implemented, or maybe the question is, have you re-implemented the arcade games that we saw there? Did you plug them in from a library, or you actually coded every single arcade game in there?
So we did
And it-
implement, I think, 3 of them, and then Richard found Tetris on React Tetris, so it's an NPM-I package.
Wow.
Okay.
And we were also thinking of putting Snake in there, which is also React game Snake. So you can
Okay.
also NPM-I.
So Tetris and Snake are like libraries that you've attached, and then
Snake we didn't. Our files were just getting way too big, and decided that not
Okay.
to. But Tetris is the only one that we did from an NPM-I package. Yeah.
right. So there are other 2 or 3 that you guys actually implemented.
Yeah. So Hangman, Floppy Bird, and Brick Breaker, we had.
They're created.
We found a couple of videos on how to do it, and then we had to kind of mend it into our point system to integrate points and like reducing points and adding points and all that stuff. So we did that. Yeah.
Because that's quite incredible. I mean,
Yeah, it's like a
it was just
project
like-
within a
I was just
project.
like, okay. And I was curious, the follow-up kind of related was like, which one was the trickiest one to implement and why?
We had a good like difficulty with Tetris, to be honest.
Tetris,
we
yeah.
tried doing the YouTube one first, and it just was not integrating properly into the app. Something to do with like the view heights and the blocks just falling out of the grid. So we did then at that point we came across the node package manager. So we used that and it worked beautifully. So I think that was the most difficult one. We got stuck on that for a good day, the Tetris one.
Yeah.
And of the other ones that you've actually ended up, let's say, shipping, which one was the trickiest one?
Probably Brick Breaker.
Brick Breaker,
Yeah,
yeah.
Brick Breaker, yeah. Because it
Brick
has
Breaker.
multiple, like, you couldn't see it on the app like itself, but it has multiple levels and multiple lives and
Yes.
things like that. So it's not, that has the most level of.
Yeah. It's the most complete one.
For the physics and the collision detection, did you use some?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the physics. Although we didn't use Phaser, we were contemplating using Phaser as well, because Phaser does have good physics and stuff integrated into the application for building games, but we didn't use Phaser at all. It's just pure JavaScript and pure React.
Nice.
And Canvas, yeah.
Good job. Amazing.
That was incredible, guys. Can we give them another round of applause? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. My God. So the next one we're moving on to is Travelog. So this is our remote Europe group. This is Anastasia, Ivan, David, and Eloy. So John, you can take it away.
To start using the app, we can sign in with Google or email, and as I already have an account, I will be logged in automatically. So now I can have a look at my profile, where I have the option to change or add any details. We can click here to start planning our next trip. And once we save it, if we're happy with it and we don't want to change it for now, We can always access our new edition amongst the rest of our plans, or we can completely delete it and start over.
Came back from Mars, so time for a review. Oh, and I forgot to check about blue, so let's do that now. Alright, let's see. Yeah, it's pretty serious. Let's go to a chat and ask about it.
So based on the review I've just seen, I'm going to have a quick chat with Tenzing. Nice. And that's it. Just before I get going though, I'm going to have a quick look on my desktop computer and check that I've got no notes left in here. So Kathmandu, yeah, must remember to take some money with me. And the last minute, the notes, yeah, I mustn't forget my rucksack. All right, that's it, we're good to go.
We are using the sticky notes to write down the reminders of the things we need to do before and during our trips. For example, it's a quick way to go back and to check if you forgot anything, and the list can always be updated by adding or deleting the sticky notes. Sometimes our trips and the places we want to visit depend on the weather forecast. Here we have the weekly weather forecast for the user's current location. The weather forecast chart is updating itself based on the user's device geolocation.
As an insight, I would say that the most important thing is a good and often communication between the team, and also having a plan and a goal every day is really helpful, but expect everything to take longer than you initially thought. And lastly, if you're planning to include packages in your repo, make sure they are compatible with your code base before you start implementing them.
For the 2-week projects, we used almost 2 days of planning time at the very beginning, and that was time really, really well spent. It allowed us to be very productive in the first week as a team by individually doing our different parts of the website without needing to refer to the other team members. One thing I would have done to have gone a bit further would have been to set up some global CSS styling from the very beginning with some basic padding and margin on the HTML elements that just avoids everybody having to do that themselves while they prototype their pages. And it does induce a lot of local styling which needs to be then removed as you bring the website together with a consistent style.
My insight for this project is that Git and TypeScript are awesome.
Try new technologies. At the beginning it will be quite a challenge, but at the end it will be worth it. Plan your features in advance, share your ideas with colleagues, discuss about them. The communication is really important.
Really nice. Well done. That's great. The tunes in the back of that one were great. That YouTube music library is really getting a workout this time around. That was really cool. Toby, do you have any feedback for this group?
Yeah. So overall, you did so well. I'm so happy with what you created in this time. I feel like you said also, like that planning in the beginning was really worthwhile. You really set out to do the thing in the core of it first, and that allowed you to do like all these features that you showed us today, and implement them one by one, have them all together. So all in all, really great job. Like all these new technologies, not shying back, you use Prisma, Socket.io, doing it all in TypeScript, and like, yeah, really well done, everyone. So my question, I remember David was saying one insight about the styling and maybe having some kind of global style, because then not everyone would need to do something. apart from styling, because I also remember you said everyone went off to their own departments. Apart from styling, how did you manage to bring it all together, and where were the challenges there, or maybe the learnings maybe for future groups, and what they have to think about when they bring all parts together?
I think we were quite lucky actually, because we started off doing the styling about 1 week after or once we'd done the MVP, started coming together on the styling then and deciding what we wanted it to look like in exact details. But there was a lot of unpicking to do where people had done very similar things on the pages, and when you then put in some global stars on a button or something, it's looking different on every page because of those little independent details that were done further down the line. So the good thing was that we started on it early enough, because in the end I spent pretty much the whole week pulling together the styling, and I thought it would take 2 days, and I was busy with that for the rest of the week. So we were lucky to start early enough.
Nice. Don't forget, everybody, if you want to ask a question, raise your little hand in Zoom so that I can call on you. I was going to ask you that you covered your tech stack quite well in the video, but a lot of the insights part, similar to what Toby said, was about how you actually work together as a team. What were you using to coordinate? Like, were you using any sort of task management or productivity tools?
Maybe, yeah. The thing is, like, we were planning the whole project like in Figma, so decided we were using like Trello to list like all our things that we need to do. It was like daily communication, like on Zoom, like first thing in the morning and the last thing at the evening, and yeah, daily communication. So as I said, like in my video, like inside, like communication is really important. So we were constantly like in touch with each other, and yeah, figure out what's going on like on the other side.
Nice. And have any of you used it to plan a trip yet? Is anybody able to travel? Where are you going to go to next?
The kitchen, maybe.
Wait, but I have a question. So you guys mentioned that like things will sometimes or usually take longer than usual. Was there something in particular that made that really stand out?
It was for me, maybe I mentioned it as well as one of the other insights, that when I started using a package, the first time when I saw how it looks, and I thought, okay, it looks very nice, so I would jump straight to implement it in our code without checking if it's okay with the backend and how it will look, and if I can use TypeScript as well. So I wasted a lot of time just using the wrong package and then trying to research the one that actually fits. So that was, yeah.
That's so true though. The prettier it looks, it's like, oh, that'll be 1 hour max, no problem.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, like for me, like a quite challenge was like getting into like the new technologies. So for the first time, like we were kind of like using Prisma, like Socket.io. Then what else? Yeah, TypeScript. Yeah, it was kind of like a new thing for most of us. Also like external API with kind of like more complex data. And yeah, so basically like the beginning was kind of like a bit challenging, but overall I think we're all satisfied.
Nice.
Definitely with the TypeScript, make sure that the package you want to use has types as well, because otherwise you really go through everything, plugging it together, and then you think, right, just a few more things to like iron out, and then you find you know there's this massive object behind there that you have no idea what it looks like, and it's just easier to throw it all away and start again or do it yourself.
Man, well, it looks
Well,
lovely, guys.
Juniors, I hope you're all taking notes about all these tools that everybody's using, because they're I mean, like Figma, I feel like 6 months ago, maybe one project was done by using Figma, and it seems like now everybody's using Figma. I haven't actually used it myself, but I hear good things. Okay, so if there are no more questions for that group, can we get one more round of applause? So that was Travelog, and that was Ivan, Anastasia, David, and Aloy. Well done. And coming right up next, we have an app called Movie Matcher, which is from another of our remote groups in EST time zone. So this is from Caleb, Marshall, Samuel, and Trent.
Do you hate trying to pick a movie with that friend that can never make up their mind? Have you wasted endless hours scrolling when you should be watching? With Movie Matcher, you can make those frustrations a thing of the past. If you use Movie Matcher, you'll feel like you jumped to the year 3000.
Alright, here's that website I heard about, Movie Matcher. We'll start by creating a profile. Now we'll find my friend on this site that I know has a profile. There he is. Let's see what he's been up to on this website. Oh, he's been watching Space Jam: A New Legacy. I've also seen that movie.
Recently, I've been wanting to watch Waterboy, so I'm going to search that up here in our search bar. I'm going to add this to my want to watch list, but first I have to sign in. Once I add it to my want to watch list, I can go back to my homepage and see that it's automatically added here.
One last thing, don't use my Disney Plus login.
One of my friends just gave me their Disney Plus membership, so I'm going to go down here and add Disney Plus to my streaming providers. I can click on View Movies to get a list of movies from Disney Plus. If I click on more details here, it'll show me where it's streaming. And where I've watched it, I can add it or remove it from my want list. I can see a list of cast, and I can see a list of similar movies. So I'm going to go to my recent activities tab. I see that Marshall recently rated a movie. I'm going to see if he's online. He is. I'm going to invite him to a match quick.
Oh, it looks like someone is inviting me to match movies with them. Right, so I'd like to watch an action movie, maybe a sci-fi one, and then I think I want to see something with Nicolas Cage in it.
So as soon as Marshall accepts my invite, it directs me to this filters page. I can already see that Marshall has applied some filters with action, sci-fi, and Nicolas Cage. I personally would never watch a movie with Nicolas Cage in there, so I'm going to remove Nicolas Cage, and I'm going to add on comedy.
Alright, so it looks like Trent has changed the preferences. I will go ahead and accept these.
So now that Marshall's accepted the filters, we get to go through and decide whether we want to watch the movie or not a chance.
Alright, I don't know if I want to watch this one.
I love this movie. Oh, this movie's awesome. Deadpool, one of my favorites. Shrek, one of the best movies of all time.
Kind of just looks like Trent is not really using any sort of, consideration for taste here.
Sonic the Hedgehog, yeah, I'd definitely watch that. Grown Ups, for sure. Adam Sandler's great. Shrek 2, almost as good as the first Shrek. Deadpool, yeah, okay.
I'll watch Trolls World Tour.
Nice. Marshall and I matched. Trolls World Tour sounds good to me. Let's watch this.
Maybe I don't want to watch Trolls World Tour.
Apparently Marshall no longer wants to watch Trolls World Tour. That's okay. I guess we'll keep searching. I'd watch Vacation Friends.
I have no idea what this movie is. I'm just gonna say yes.
Willy's Wonderland. I'd watch it. So Marshall and I matched again. Vacation Friends. I love this movie. Can't wait to watch it. I can already see that he's accepted to watch this movie. So I'm gonna hit let's watch it. That'll direct us back to our recent activities page where we can add to watch list or add to blacklist. I'm going to rate this 5 stars.
I can't believe you didn't want to watch any Nicolas Cage movies. I haven't seen Face Off in a while. I'm going to add it to my want list.
So for our tech stack, we used React for our front-end framework, Redux to help manage our states, Socket.io for our friends list and matching, Chakra for UI elements, and TypeScript to keep things typed and enforced. For our backend, we used Node.js and Express for our backend framework, Sequelize is our ORM, PostgreSQL for our database, and TypeScript to keep things further typed and enforced.
Our biggest takeaway from this project is that every team should commit often and in small stages. The longer you go without committing changes, the more error-prone your code becomes, and you don't want to introduce error-prone code into a repo and blow it up. Second, you want to communicate frequently with your team members so you know what everyone's working on. This way you can avoid working on the same files and having to merge conflicts when you all commit your code into the same repo. Lastly, plan everything. From the design of your app, wireframing it, to the different routes you expect to have on the server, to the structure of your database, to the data that gets passed from the server to the client. The more concrete of a plan you have, the more fluidly your app production will go.
Yo, you guys, that was hilarious. Did anyone laugh at the typing in the beginning, or was I the only one? I don't know if that was on purpose or not. But that was so
that got me as well. That was
like oh my God. Oh, you guys, so as I mentioned, Javier is at home, resting, getting healthy. So we have, who's back up? Charlie and Costas. Give us some feedback, some questions.
Of course. First, congratulations, you guys. Like, what an application. So many features. And also, like, you've respected the movie watching theme so well. So many of like Netflix, Amazon Prime, it looks exactly like it belongs up there with them. But my question is about, where is all this data coming from? Like, it seems like you have these like super generous free tier APIs is what I'm imagining, but I have no idea what's going on back there. So if someone can comment on that.
Yeah, so we found an API through TMDB where we could get a lot of our information for title, description, stuff like that. So we pulled API calls from our backend to TMDB and would then serve it.
Man. And is it all coming from there? For all? Yeah.
Yeah, just about, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Wow. It's officially the Tinder for movies. Yes. You can even back out, just like Tinder. Amazing.
That was actually the design statement concept for planning all this.
Are you guys ever gonna add like a maybe button, or does that defeat the purpose and just make more scrolling happen?
I don't think that was ever in the plans, but it is a possibility.
Also, real quick, you guys mentioned TMDB. I'll get a chance to also let the juniors know that at the end of the junior part, you're going to receive a message that's going to tell you, check out this part of the student's handbook if you haven't done it already. And there is a section that says interesting APIs. And it happens that TMDB is one of them there. So if you have a project and you don't know where to look for the data, or you want to find inspiration for data sources to build a project upon it, there are a bunch of interesting APIs there. So have a look because they're useful. And to the team who built this project, wow, like my only question is like, when is it going to be live? I would have used this so many freaking times, and I loved how you figured out the UX of a lot of little details.
We're
in the
right
now. Go for it.
We're battling with Heroku to get our TypeScript deployed. So once it's up, we'll let everyone know. But it's been a battle.
Please,
you guys
get it
are
live, because I feel like
Hey.
a lot of people would use it, and really you nailed down a lot of UX things, because a lot of people have been doing similar ideas like movie matching, but I feel like the UX was spot on.
Man. And then we have from Costas, lay it on us.
Yeah. So I saw a lot of like back and forth information data coming from the user to the database, and also connection between multiple users with using Socket.io. I suspect there would be like some challenges there. How did you manage this data synchronization, like with the backend and at the same time with the users? Someone adds a movie and then after a while they just discard the movie. Did you have any challenges in this synchronization thing? And how did you manage all these informations?
For Socket.io, it was definitely challenging at the beginning, but it's actually pretty easy if you follow their documentation to apply it to like a lot of different circumstances. So I thought that it was surprisingly easy to get that up and running.
Man, and how was it working together? Are you guys all funny? How did you get any work done? This is a serious question. How was the communication?
It was good. We spent the first full day just on Figma planning, getting our things typed out, figuring out how we're going to interact, what kind of routes or controllers we'd want, what our front end was going to look like. And then we met usually about twice a day before when we first started and near the end of the day to figure out what we were going to work on for the day. At the end of the day, we would come make sure everything was working, take our dev branch, push it to our main. So we always had a working backup, and then our working branch that we'd spend that day on. And just, yeah, we got on Discord and talked a lot, make sure we were on the same page.
Nice. I love the energy. And it looks really good, guys. You really do have to deploy because that would be so useful, especially for large families. Man. Nice. So can we give them another round of applause?
Oh, wait, Brianna.
Oh, sorry. Oh, wait, we have one more question. Alex, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I was just curious. I noticed when you were searching on the website, it automatically like suggests what movie you're trying to find. How easy was that to implement? Because that seems complicated to me, but like a thing that you just kind of take for granted.
Thankfully, the API that we were using was pretty flexible with that. So every time that there's a key change, it just makes a call to the API, which surprisingly doesn't take that long to return a response from. And then we just set it all to state in React and then render on the page.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah, that sounds a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Fair enough.
Man, perfect.
Only other thing I'd add would be whoever it was that didn't like Nicolas Cage, you're wrong, and you need to think about your choices.
Thank
You like Nicolas Cage, Sean?
Who doesn't like Nicolas Cage?
Wow, I'm gonna look at you differently from now on. Nice job, guys. That looked really good. So another round of applause. Beautiful. Nice. So the next group coming up is the London group, and the name is super cool, Genie US. So this is a big group. It's Alex, Alistair, Dave, Gio, and Louis. So let's see.
No answer found on Stack Overflow? Don't worry anymore. Your Code Master Genie is here to help you. Genie US is Stack Overflow on demand. Students can subscribe to the service to receive instant tutoring from expert developers. Depending on the subscription type, students will have more or less help request time per month. So let's see how to use it.
Great, so I'm going to sign in as a student here. And once we sign in, we are greeted by our student dashboard. We can see here is our account information, such as our subscription type, the expiration date of our subscription, how many requests we have completed, and the hours remaining on our subscription, which will depend on what subscription type we choose. On the right, we see our favorite tutors. We can see which tutors are currently online. And once we click on a tutor, we can see all the information. We can also see all our recent help requests. And once we click on a help request, we see all this information, its description, its code, our rating that we gave it, and our feedback. And we can use the slider to extend either the code or the description. Great, so we can also choose between light and dark modes. And we're going to stick to dark modes. And we also have our profile area where we can change any information we would like to. Change that to senior and submit. Cool. So I'll go ahead and create a request, input our description, and input some tags, and choose our language, choose JavaScript, and just put in our code problem. Great, so I'll submit this help request and search for any available tutors.
I'm Matt, and I'm going to log in as a tutor. So on the right-hand side, you can see my tutor information. I'm based in London. I'm going to add Spanish as another spoken language, and then I'll also add to my tech stack TypeScript, React, and Postgres. Now, as I add these, you can see the opening tickets coming through, depending on the technology that's being used. Below, you can see I have my stats. So I have 13 completed requests so far, 4.69 average rating, as well as some monthly hours and earnings this month. Below, I have my previous requests, and let's check out Maria's, what she said about me. 5 stars, excellent. I'm happy with that. So let's go back up here. Let's check out an open request. Let's have a look at Yellen. I'm not too interested in that. I'll decline that one. So that one disappears. And, oh, a new one's popped in from Louis. Let's have a look at that. Rejecting promises. Let's have a look at the student. Oh, senior full stack developer. Could be a fun conversation. I think I'll go ahead and accept that.
Great. So it seems like Matt Matson is available. He's got a great rating, and on his tech stack there's JavaScript. So I'm going to go ahead and accept that request.
It looks like Louis accepted my help, so let's head to the chat. I'll take a look at the code again. Cool. And Louis says hi, I'll say hi back. And suggest getting on a call. Look at the description and code one more time. Oh, he sent another message. Great, let's open Zoom. And here we're taken to Zoom, where if I turn my camera on and I unblock my camera, I can say hi to Louis.
Perfect. What a great request. So I'm going to complete the call and give Matt some feedback, give him 5 stars and some nice comments. Then click on submit and we'll be taken back to the dashboard.
Oh, I can see that my request has come in and I can see the feedback that Louis gave me. 5 stars. That's what I like to see. I'll head back and then log out.
We built Genius with React, TypeScript, and Express. We also used libraries to implement the more complex functionality. With Socket.io, we were able to build the chat rooms and the live status updates. We used Firebase both on the front and the back ends to do authentication, and we used its object storage to allow users to upload and save their profile pictures. Lastly, with Redux, we used RTK Query, which helped us implement caching and also keep the client state in sync with the server.
In terms of lessons learned, what would we repeat? First, the teamwork and planning. The days spent at the start of the project mapping anything from Git workflows to user journeys paid dividends. And likewise, our daily routine. Mid-morning stand-ups, Trello to manage tickets, a second stand-up at 4 p.m, and merging a reliable dev branch and domain at 6 p.m. Second, the early deployment of our backend gave us the backbone of our project, with live endpoints and data to work from early in week 1. It was simply a great place to start. And as to what we could do differently, a near final visual design from the outset would have prevented a lot of code rewrites and ensured consistency across the product. And lastly, don't be afraid to dedicate half days or more entirely to studying any new tech you use. It will likely save even more time in the long run.
Thank you. Nice.
Woo!
Very good. That was great. Well done, London team. Although I got to say, having a recording of 2 Zoom windows within my own Zoom window kind of like gave me a headache for a minute there, but that was super cool. Jess, you got some feedback for this team.
Oh my goodness, I've seen this video about 3 or 4 times today already, and I still couldn't stop absolutely grinning at it because I am so incredibly proud of what they've achieved. I would love to take some sort of credit for it and say I'm an awesome tutor, and that's why they did so well. But honestly, they were so independent. They did like all of this was their own genius. It's so incredibly impressive what they were able to achieve, and in such like a relatively short deadline as well. Very, very well done, guys. I would like to ask you a couple of questions. First of all, where you got the inspiration for this project from, because I haven't seen anything like this before. Where did that come from?
Alex, I think that was you.
Fine. No, but in all seriousness, you used Firebase for your authentication, and I know you said that was relatively easy to do. You also used it for storage, and you said you had a pretty hard time doing that. I wonder if you could talk to us a little bit about Firebase and storage and what was difficult there.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot easier for authentication. It's pretty simple, and the docs are really nice for that. It wasn't too difficult for the storage. It was just like in terms of like saving in states. You have the state, you have the database, and you have the Firebase. So it's kind of confusing with that, which parts you should bring in, where you should save it. But I think it's definitely doable, and I recommend it. Yeah, everything about Firebase is really nice, so I recommend it.
Fantastic. And one more question as well. I just wanted to show off their planning a little bit because they did a really excellent job of planning. They had some incredible wireframes. They used Figma. But something that I also thought was super impressive that these guys did is as they were working, they had split into kind of a front end and a back end team in the early days of the project. And once the back end team had developed their section, they actually wrote docs like outlining everything the front end team would need to know, so that when the front end team were building, say for example something like an API service, they would have everything they needed from the back end. And I just wanted you to talk about that a little bit, or show off and tell people what you would, how they could replicate what you did, because it was very impressive.
Yes. For the API, we took the wireframes and we documented what APIs we thought would be needed. And then I think pretty much on day one, we had them up and hosted with some mock data, so that when the front end team were working, they could call mock data. And then Gio and I just built the real database while they were working on front end.
I cannot emphasize enough how amazing Gio and Alistair were as a back-end team. The fact that like it was up on Heroku within a day or two, so we wouldn't have to like locally download and recreate a database every time, was insane. It was so amazing that they were able to do that so quickly and efficiently. And also the docs that they created were just top notch.
It's amazing. Great effort, guys. That's so much stuff to be done so quickly. I thought maybe the inspiration for it would have been like, you're trying to think of ways that you can like make a bit of money off our help request system. And you're going to, when you graduated, send some messages to the juniors and be like, you need any help? £10 an hour will help you out. That is it's such a cool project. I thought a question I had was that where you have the screen, the code sample screen, where people can type in the code they're using in it, and it produces that really nice pre-formatted code. How did you use that? Was that a package that you included or something like that, or was that something you built yourselves?
Yeah, it was a package called Monaco Editor, and it was pretty simple to input, and it just takes all the VS Code themes and styling. So it was really nice to use, and you can save it all in state and everything, so you can put it wherever you want to, really. So I definitely recommend it, and it was built by Microsoft, so it's pretty stable.
Nice, great. Do you want to put a link to that in the chat maybe? Because I think that'll probably be something that a lot of people will want to check out. That sounds really nice. And I also really love that you thought about monetization of it as well. Like it wasn't, this feels like more of a, like it's more than just a project, it's like a product. Like it's always like ready to go. It felt really, really complete. Great job. All right, if we got any other questions for these guys before we move on, last chance. No? All right, let's have one more round of applause for the London seniors. Amazing job, well done. And moving along swiftly now, we are going to go to another one of our remote groups in Europe, and this is an app called Double Mattress.
So Ben, when do you think we'll be able to go on our trip finally?
It's quite a ways off, I think.
Why do you say so? I mean, we've been planning this for so long.
Well, I just can't seem to save any money at the moment.
Yeah, but we both earn a good wage. Like, you know, why can't we seem to go?
Yeah, it's mainly it's bills.
Maybe we should just find a way to cut our spending a little bit.
Me too. To be honest, I just don't know where the money goes.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Annie and Ben, you'll never save for this trip if you don't know where your money's going. Where is it anyway? Under the mattress? Well, you need double mattress.
So we're on the landing page, and we're going to hit Get Started, so we're taken to the login page. We're going to log in as Ben for this demo, and we just input our email address and our password, hit Submit, and we'll be taken straight to the dashboard. So the dashboard allows you to see all of your expenses per month. If you want to check a certain region, you can click on the pie chart to see what you're spending and see if there's a higher amount or a lower amount. You can also see it down below in the list. When you click on the list, you get an overview of how much you spent that month, and you also get a list of all the individual transactions. So if you really want to go in deep, you can have a look there. You can also hit the income tab so that it changes over to the income, where you can see your salary and other incomes, and similarly to the expenses, you can see the transactions. You can also change to different months and it will update, and we can change even further back. Now we're going to log in as Annie. So again, it's the same process of putting in an email address and a password, hitting submit, and we're taken to the dashboard. Now what you can see here is that Annie has her own information. She's not linked with any other users, so she has her own salary and other income, but none others. We're now going to go ahead and link Annie and Ben together. So first we press the connect button, which gives us a modal to input our partner's email. So we'll go ahead and input Annie's email, which will send off a request for her. So now we see that Annie is our partner and we can send off the invitation. So now switch over to Annie's to have a look at that invitation. Yeah, so Annie got our notification. So we can either click on the actual toast or we can click on the bell. So we're going to click on the bell, and since we know it's Ben and it's who we want, we're going to hit confirm. Now if we head back to the dashboard, we can see that our transactions have been updated and we now have access to not only Annie's information but also Ben's.
Now let's try to get to the projection page, but it's behind a paywall. So let's just try to pay this one. We get to this payment page. We need to input our credit card details. In this case, we are using the default one for swipe. So we are actually not making any payment, but just to see how it works. And we submit. And it should work now. Perfect. Okay, so now we are on the projection page. We can see the line chart with our savings increasing in 1 year period time and our saving rates. We can select one of the lines to see it with more detail. We have access to the categories average for every category available. And on the settings, we can change the initial date of the chart. So we can go even further in the future. And now let's put it back to the actual day, and let's add a new projection. So we make an expense, we have to select the category, and it's going to be a really nice glue. Let's choose the payment amount that we're going to be doing, and now we can see on the line chart it's already updated. So we can check on projections and see the details for this one. We can also delete it and it goes back to the normal state. Now let's try to add a recurrent transaction, for example, an increase in salary that is going to be happening every month. So we choose the description, make how much is going to increment. So this project was certainly a nice learning experience. In my case, the user of Redux was complicated at the beginning, but once the setup was ready, it was really easy to use. And now we have it already as a nice investment for the future.
One of the biggest backbones to our project was Discord. We ended up using it like a lot, and we moved to it on the first day, and it helped us organize ourselves and organize a good workflow. And then also with Chakra UI, which is one of our front-end frameworks, we found it really useful to get started, but then we found customizing issues. But overall, it was a good investment.
Yeah, and on the back end, we got a deployment pipeline going with Heroku, which was quite an upfront investment of time, but it was definitely worth it in the long run. And the other takeaway for me is that if your front-end team asks you for nested data from lots of different data sources, then just refuse if you're doing the back end on your team projects.
Yeah, and I will state the obvious: communication is key, and don't assume that the other people in your team know what you've delivered, because we had a situation where this wasn't clear. So really state clearly what you've done, and also ask clear questions. Now, to talk about our tech stack, I won't go through all the tools because you probably know all of them. If you have any questions about any of them, because you don't know them or if you want to know more, let us know in the Q&A. Thank you.
Woo!
mother's pearls, that's what got me. That's why you're not going on a trip. Toby, take it away.
Yeah, nice. So well done. It turned out so well. I'm really happy with what you have created. And I have to say, you worked so autonomously. Like, I don't know, I think a handful of times that you were maybe stuck in some way, but not even that. I guess you figured it out among yourselves a lot of the times. I guess that's my, yeah, I guess that's how you did it, which is wonderful. Yeah, doing all these new technologies, doing it really well, and doing so much while maintaining structure in your code. So really well done. I want to ask, or I want you to talk about, you mentioned Discord really helped you with structuring, and you planned a lot before, because this is a topic that we are not covering during the course. And how do you actually plan your project, and how do you do it? I feel you did it very well. So maybe you can talk a little bit about like the tools and also the things to keep in mind when planning your project, and how to do it efficiently.
Who wants to go? I can jump in first, and then you can correct me if you think differently. We spent probably like a day and a half or maybe two with on planning, and it felt a little bit frustrating at first because we were like, oh, we're not coding, and it's just like a lot of discussion. But it was, I think, super helpful. We used a couple of tools. First we used FigJam just to get some ideas down. And we actually also started to look at data structures and thinking like, okay, what kind of information do we want to use for each kind of steps of the features we were talking about. Then we moved to Figma. And at some point we also had a Trello board, which I think we used more in the beginning. Later on that kind of got abandoned a little bit. But yeah, that would be it from my end. Guys, what do you think? Anything to add?
Yeah, it was really important, because at the beginning we didn't have like a super clear idea of what was the project, and everyone had like their own opinions on how should it be, what is more important. So yeah, basically I didn't start programming until Monday. Basically we spent like 2 days just like meeting, planning the app as a whole, the front end, etc., etc. And I think it's important at the end of the day, you basically spend more time planning than coding in every project, basically.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think,
oh, go
sorry.
ahead.
Oh no, just a quick thing on Discord, because I know a lot of people say it, but what's so good about it, it's just so seamless. You can just quickly hop out of one voice channel into another one, break out, come back together. Everything's just so quick, and the voice quality is amazing. There's no echo, there's no feedback, and I don't know, it just enabled us to work really quickly and really efficiently. So it's definitely recommended if anyone's going to use it for their team projects.
Okay, we got to add that to the list of links for sure then. And then you guys deployed your app, right?
Yeah, we deployed to, we chose Heroku in the end because of the automatic deployment. And it was, I think the first deployment took us about half a day. But once we got it up and running and figured out how not to ruin everything, it was definitely worth the time investment. But it did delay us getting a working API to the front end team, which was a bit of a shame. But I think it was definitely worth it over the course of the project.
Yeah, I think it was worth in the long term. We probably could have worked with a local version for the first couple of days. But then especially we had a lot of data moving back and forth because it's about financial projections. So having everyone having their own local databases would have been a nightmare. So that was really helpful.
Nice. And then we have a question from Alex in London.
Yeah, I wanted to ask how the Stripe integration was. How long did that take? Was it easy? Was it hard?
Both.
Always a good sign, the heavy side.
I would say the simple part, like the standard part, was pretty easy, like getting the checkout to work. The hard part was getting the data flow to work, so that you could actually register payment or not payment information, but transactions back into the backend, and that started to get really complicated, and we had to figure out how to do that between front end and back end. But I would say it was really worth looking into. Like, I guess that many apps will have a payment solution, and from what I know and I've seen, it is one of the most usable ones, and their documentations are quite good. So it will take some time. It will be painful at times because you don't know what's happening, but it worked in the end.
Nice. And then we have a question from the Berlin campus also.
Yeah, quick question. I don't know if I missed that. What is FigJam tool, and how did you use it in your project?
It's like a pandown to Figma, and it's more like an app for brainstorming. So you can use sticky notes. You can easily kind of draw flow charts and things like that. So yeah, if you know Miro, it's similar to Miro actually, and it's just nice because it's in one app with Figma, so it's the same thing. You can just like move around there.
Yeah, thank you. Sounds really interesting.
Nice. Does anyone have any more questions? Okay, going. So another round of applause for Double Mattress. Nice job, guys. Perfect. So our next project or presentation is from the Barcelona group. So another big group. We have Tommaso, Grega, Maggie, Yevhen, and Eugene, and yeah, Lorem Ipsum.
The majority of the recruiters agree that in order to maximize your chances of getting invited for the interview, you must tailor your CV to a role. This task can be very time-consuming. In addition, you will often end up with many versions of the CV, forgetting about the skills you already have, and then writing them again from the scratch. Not to mention the time you spend on a layout, or even saying that your CV can be filtered by the internal HR systems before it even reaches the recruiter. We have decided to address this issue and created Lorem Ipsum. Lorem Ipsum is the app that helps you to find your dream job. How? The app stores all your experiences in one place, so it takes only a few clicks every time you need to craft your CV to a specific role. The CV generated by Lorem Ipsum is also structured to comply with most HR systems to increase your chances of being invited for the interview even further. So let's build our first CV together. The profile page allows you to set a profile part that will appear on top of your CV. This is essential information such as contact details and your CV headline.
Let's take a look at the CV builder. This is the central part of the application where everything is happening. The main area is split into 3 sections. The left-hand side is where you define the categories you would like to showcase on the CV and their order. The middle section shows the final preview of the CV, and the right-hand side is where you can download, save, or see the recommendations to improve your CV. Let's add categories to our CV and select the experiences to display. The recommendation section is divided into 3 categories. Issues show the critical missing parts of the CV, therefore it is recommended to address these immediately. Missing data scans the CV and tells if any vital information such as contact details or work history is missing. The suggestions section gives you the final touch improvements. Let's run our analyzer again and see what it has to say. As you can see, we are missing the latest work experience. Let's fix that in our CV and add the work history back. Once your CV is built, you have 2 options. Save the template so you can get back to it later, or just download the one-off version of your CV. Let's save our CV as a template for future.
Once you have built your CV and are ready to apply for jobs, you can keep track of our applications and upcoming interviews. On the home page, select the date of the upcoming interview and fill in all the role information so you can always get back to your notes. The bottom part helps you to prepare for your upcoming interview by generating a list of possible questions that you might be asked during the interview.
Now on to the tech stack. Both the frontend and the backend are built entirely in TypeScript. We've created the backend server with Express. The CV and user data is being stored in the PostgreSQL database via Prisma. We have also built our own session authentication with the help of Express Session. The frontend is made with React. We're using Redux for state management, Tailwind CSS for styling, and the Framer Motion library for the animations. Finally, we've used the React PDF library to style and generate the PDF documents, Firebase to store images, and Sovereign to parse the created CVs and provide recommendations to the user.
For the insights, we learned that Lorem Ipsum name makes it easy to find a beautiful logo. Abstract functions make the code more reusable and avoids having to copy-paste in the future. If adding a new feature to existing codebase seems like a difficult task, it is a good sign that it needs to be refactored. Having a good design in your app, either front-end or back-end, boosts your development process by a lot. Everyone codes is different, so it's important to have patience and schedule regular meetings to check if we are all going in the same way.
I mean, gang, great tunes, great app, great video. Really good job. Charlie, you got some feedback for these guys?
Hello. Yes, I have so much feedback for them, but mostly a congratulations, because it was such a pleasure to watch them work. They had such a nice pace. Every time I came over, there was like some new features or some refactoring, but everybody knew exactly what they were doing. And I have a few questions for you guys. So we're all gonna fit in this little window. But my first question is, there are so many forms in this application. There are just a crazy amount of forms. So what I'm wondering is, if you were to give any advice to somebody who is going to make a very form input intensive app, is there anything that you would say is important to organize?
Yeah.
I think there are two things, I guess. Give names to your inputs, so then they match whatever object you do. So then what we've done, we've actually created a custom hook to handle all of our forms and then send the data to the correct endpoints on each form. So that was quite nice. And then just use one styling for all the forms, and that's it.
Yeah.
Automatically adjustable form sizes helps too. So
Yeah, when I was doing their code review, I noticed for sure that not a lot of people experiment with the custom hooks, but it's such a nice thing to extract the form logic. So definitely something to keep in mind for juniors if you're building a very input repetitive logic app. Okay, second question. Is this ATS CV recommendations component to the application? This seemed to spring up overnight, like I haven't seen this yet. So how was it implementing that, and how does it work?
well, we were looking for some part which will actually give a piece of advice on analyze our CV and simply go through the points that we have. And we were looking through several different ATS systems, and I just simply found this one. And there was a part where we can get some recommendations for it. Gregor spent a lot of time testing it, and by some miracle, he just made it work overnight. And here we go. Here it is.
I had a lot of help. I almost already gave up on it, and then these guys made me push through. But yeah, I think once we knew how to pass the data in the correct format, then from then on it was pretty good.
It's pretty good. Yeah. Okay, I guess I'll open this up. Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, remember to put your little hands up in Zoom if you've got any questions, guys. I was going to say my main thing about it is that I think it's a really cool app because it solves a problem that everybody's had, right? Everybody's been applying for jobs and you have to change CVs a little bit, and it's super annoying. So when I saw the video earlier, I was like, wow, this is actually like this is a problem that I've had, and this solves the app. Like, I think that's why I really like it. It's such a cool idea. I'll get the obvious question out of the way, which I think everybody's going to ask, which is that, are you going to be deploying it, and can all of the seniors use it next week when they start their job hunt?
Yeah. Yeah, we would love to deploy it. It's not deployed yet, but there are some things that we want to add to it, and then we would like to deploy it, because just like you, we all have the similar problem with CVs. I personally have a folder with 50 CVs, and there it's so annoying. And then, yeah, we just wanted to build something that's useful for everyone, I guess.
Well, I think, yeah, if you can get it deployed, it's 100% going to be useful for everybody. And then I guess there's the logical... Sorry, go ahead.
Many people already deployed their app. We were still implementing a new feature. We added a new API this morning. So.
Yeah, they were like coding up until the bell. Like, no time was wasted, but it wasn't like scrambling to like get it to work again. They were just like, no, we're still adding some new stuff. Like, so much passion behind the vision for this app.
Well, you say that, but then I did catch some of them playing ping pong in the kitchen earlier. So. No, it's great. And then I guess the second question is, once you deploy it, how much will you be charging everybody to use it?
Well, I guess we'll start at the bottom rate of $90.99.
A bargain. I was going to ask about, you mentioned there's some package or technology used in there. I think it was called Sovereign.
Yeah, so that's the ATS system actually that checks your.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, great. No, super cool. Are there any questions from anybody else before we move on? No, not seeing any hands. All right, well, let's do one more round of applause for these guys. Give them a lot of appreciation, because they're going to be saving you some time next week. And make sure you send the link around to everybody when you get it deployed. I'm sure everybody will be straight in there. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our last project of the day. Which is a super cool app and a really small group, actually. So bear that in mind when you're watching this. A lot of work into this. This is the group from Berlin. This is Alexei, Maria, and Bartos, and their app is called QR Checked.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Maria, please pay attention. So let's take the attendances. So Felipe is here, yes, and Andy and Anne.
Yeah.
Okay, Mariah, I will talk. Bartos. Okay, somewhere around there. Someone named Brina. Not here, not yet. Okay, and Mr. Tobias.
Wait, I'm here. I'm also here.
Okay, I see. I guess we are all here. Okay.
Hey man, are you going to class today?
No way. Zoom is crowded. He will never find out.
You didn't hear? He's using this new app called QR Check.
He's using what?
QR Checked is an amazing app that's going to help you take attendance quickly, easily, and without hassle. Using QR Checked, you can register students, check them into class, and see the attendance history for each class and each student.
After the teacher logs in, they get to see their dashboard with the full list of courses and an option to add a new class. If they click on an existing course, they get to see the full list of students assigned to that course as well as attendance history. This starts with an overview of all the past sessions. Each session has a full list of students, and clicking on a student's name will get the teacher that student's individual attendance history. To start taking attendance, the teacher creates a new session. This generates a QR code that they can show to their students, and as the students start scanning the QR code and coming in, check marks appear next to their names. To register students to a class, they go through a process very similar to taking attendance. They click on a button, to generate a QR code, which they can then show to their students. And once a student scans the QR code, their name will pop up in the list of students for that course.
Our project is written in TypeScript because we love type checking and auto-completion. On the backend, we store data in the Postgres database with MicroArm and serve it with GraphQL through Apollo Server. Real-time updates are handled with Socket.io. Frontend uses React, Redux for state management, Tailwind and Lottie animation to make it pretty, and Uruku with GraphQL code generator for client-side queries.
We are the QR Check team, and today I'm going to share some of the insights that we got out of doing this project together. Project management is a really important part, and we definitely could have used a little bit more of that. Managing your Git flow, scheduling who does what on which days, and making sure that you have more than one daily meeting. You're definitely going to want to look out for merge conflicts. That was an issue for us. Communication is key, and making sure that you have empathy whenever talking to one of your teammates is definitely going to help you in the long run. Never skip the documentation. Make sure that you read it thoroughly and understand what you're actually getting into. And always remember,
GraphQL is cool.
What he said. Sure. We are the QR Check team. We are the QR Check team. I should not have had a glass of wine.
One more fucking time.
We are the QR Check team.
One more time.
We are the QR Check team, and
Oh no, it doesn't work.
project management is a very important one for us.
They go through.
Oh no.
No.
Oh my god.
Okay, now the funky.
Fuck. I'm just gonna keep saying it.
Bro, check out the project.
Yes! You guys are clowns. Oh my God. That was funny. That was a hilarious one to end on. Kostas, tell us about your team. Oh, there you are. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. In the meantime,
tell some jokes.
You got it? I was going to say, in the meantime. So this group was the smallest one. I don't know if you guys noticed that. So it was only 3 people. And what they were able to do was...
Yeah.
Oh, they're here. Kostas.
Okay. It was an amazing job. And what can I say? I mean, we have like a CV builder set up for our seniors. We have a QR check for our I think we're all set up for the school. Like the next cohort will be super automated. Now, yes, everything like was really nicely organized and scheduled. The interface was like amazing, really clean, user-friendly, and the team made an amazing progress. So what can I say? Like, congratulations. It was an amazing progress. So the question I want to ask is, well, it's not actually a question. It's I want a feedback like on their like the toughest challenge working through the project, how they managed to overcome it.
I'd say the most challenging thing was that our team is so small. We definitely, in the beginning, would like to have built a bigger thing, but decided to hold ourselves back a little and work with the amount of people we have.
And I would add that Redux was quite challenging, especially asynchronous part with WebSockets. You wouldn't struggle so much as we did with setting up like queries and WebSockets on the side and then updated it to Redux. But we did struggle a lot, so I think that was the biggest challenge for the project.
And we have a question from the Barcelona campus, and then I have a question.
One minute. We have like Alexi.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alexi. Run on over and slap me.
I would just say we use something similar to GitFlow, but kind of our own version. And we had to figure it out as we went. And that definitely caused some massive merge conflicts. But we ended up figuring it out. And with good communication and empathy, we got it done.
And then let's see, a question from Barcelona.
Hey.
Andres!
Hello. I'm sorry I betrayed you guys for a couple days. This is for Bartosz, because I have never seen such a big fan of GraphQL. It's the #1 fan. And I think it'd be cool, Bartosz, if you could just talk a little bit about why GraphQL has your heart now, because we don't see it very often in projects. And I think just by how much you loved it, I think if you talk more about it, maybe we'll see it more in future projects.
Yes, I think GraphQL has a future. I'm sorry. But the problem right now is there are problems with slowness. They can be solved with some like overhead with like additional code. But I think the ecosystem is crazy good. Like the custom hooks we could generate with your code was out of this world. So basically, you can write like a custom npm command to generate hooks for you. And you don't worry about queries anymore. You just write types on the front end. Basically, you take your types from the back end, you just pass them in on your front end, and you are done. You have typed hooks with TypeScript, and yeah, you have auto completion out of the box, all of this good stuff. So I would highly recommend for smaller project that doesn't require high speeds, that this could be like GraphQL could be a really great thing.
Okay. And then I wanted to know, so you guys were talking about having empathy towards your teammates, and we got to see you guys all super stressed out. So can you guys talk a little bit about the empathy part? Because I think sometimes when you're working on a project in a team, you want things done fast, maybe you snap at each other and we forget a little bit that we're all humans, we're all on the same level. Talk a little bit about it.
I think that if you are under this amount of stress and time constraints and you're working with Bartosz, I'm not pointing fingers and saying names. But no, I love this guy, but I just think, yeah, you should keep your emotional intelligence in your back pocket. And like Brianna said, always remember that everyone's human. And especially in this bootcamp, we're all learning. So if someone doesn't know something, that is okay. Just tell them to read the docs and everything will be okay.
Nice. This is a beautiful kumbaya note to end on. Does anyone have any more questions?
I have something to add. Like, okay, one quick question: did you get any sleep during the project? Okay. The real question is, when you were designing like the project, you had also some extra features. Can you tell us a little bit about the extra features that you were thinking about, and whether you are thinking of deploying and working on the project for like a production or getting it online?
Maybe I'll start with the last question and then you can answer the first one. We're definitely thinking about continuing working on this project.
Yes.
Yeah, if we do, there is a lot of refactoring to be done. Costa suggested starting from scratch. Maybe we will, but it's an interesting project. We like it, even though it was very challenging to achieve in 2 weeks. If we have more time and maybe a couple more people, I think it's doable.
Yeah. And for our features that we wanted to add, I think Bartosz can add those.
So I didn't get sleep. That's the first question. Second question is, yeah, the ideal world scenario would be to get a screenshot and check attendance by face. And we wanted to implement that, but like team of 3, unfortunately, we had to cut down our dreams. But we wanted to make a screenshot thing that you can just screenshot and face recognition will check the users in for you. You don't have to ask anyone to scan QR code and anything. You just face recognition everyone. That yeah, and QR would be like a backup for that app basically. So if anyone is not okay with face recognition, they could scan the QR code.
Wow. Yeah, I really want you guys to keep working on it. You know this. Nice. Does anyone else have any more questions?
I do.
No.
Yep.
We have a question in common.
So my question would be, I feel like I can relate to you guys because I also work in a pretty small team, and organization and creating MVP was a very challenging part. So I would like to for you to share, how did you go with organization? What did you use to like map out data flow or wireframes if you did so? And how did you kind of make up your mind what the MVP would be?
In the beginning, we did not. Nothing. But like we've talked about, we got into some pretty extreme merge conflicts, and we also kept being asked by Costas what our plan was, and we didn't really have one. We were just building everything and just going up from the ground. But once we kind of like figured out that that was not a good idea at all, we started planning day-to-day tasks. We started talking to each other, making sure we were not in the same files, and I guess just all around collaborating more. Keep from doing that.
The thing was, in the first couple of days, we just split our tasks completely. Bartosz took over the back end, and Alexia and I worked on the front end.
We just split it in half.
We basically, split our tasks and didn't communicate enough.
Yeah, and the rest I think would be achieved with pen and paper, because we had the opportunity to all be in one place in Berlin campus. So basically we did wireframes on the paper. Like first day we were sketching stuff, planning databases on paper or
taping it on the wall.
Yeah, whiteboards and stuff. So yeah, we were doing that.
Yeah, man. We say that we have 3 people, but with Bartosz, we really have 4.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was lovely, you guys. Thank you for giving us such a funny video to end on. Beautiful project. So another round of applause for QR Check. Woohoo! So this is our presentation. This was our September cohort, our last presentations for the year. So when we join up again, it's going to be the year 2022. Woo woo. All right, guys. Adios.